So this is where we host all of our grade booking. You guys have been using this for attendance already, and I'm going to use the demo site. This lets me go in and practice, and it's not going to affect anything going on in live school. So give me just a second to get logged in, and we'll get going. You can see here that it says demo in front of each of these tracks. That way I know I can go in and practice and it's not going to mess anything up. So I'm going to jump over here. Hi, Fernando. If you can hear me in the screen that you're looking at, you'll have a window over on the right-hand side that has a little chat feature in the top. Let us know that you can hear okay, and then we'll continue on. And there's also a link for you to fill out for attendance. And if you have questions, you can ask them there. So once I'm logged in here, this should look familiar. This is a landing page for Q, and this is what where you guys are taking attendance every day. So this is also where you're going to find Gradebook, which I'm sure you've probably heard a little bit about so far. So under the menu here, I'm going to go down to the Marks module and then over to Gradebook. And this is going to open up the Gradebook feature. A couple other things I have here, class marks. When it's time to post marks, this is where I'm going to go to look at my grades before they're printed on report cards. And then I have reports. So if I want to pull like a missing assignment report or anything like that, I can find that here. So Gradebook. And if you're a secondary teacher, you're going to see all your classes listed here. If you're elementary, you're only going to see your one class listed here, and it should take you right into Gradebook. It's not going to give you the option to choose. Your very first time logging into Gradebook, it's going to take you to this screen here, which is the configure screen. And you notice all these red checks here because it's wanting us to look at each of these different categories. And the district has selected some presets for you already, and we can easily apply those. And we recommend doing this by tapping the configure button here at the top. And if I click this, it'll take just a second. And you'll notice all of these red checks, or the red X's, turn into green check marks. That tells me that it's taken all of the district's suggestions and applied them to my gradebook. And it is technically set up and ready for me to use. But I'm going to go through some of the options and teacher preferences that you want to have set up prior to entering any grades. So are there any questions about logging in, getting to Gradebook, or this configure option? All right, I'm going to keep on going then. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute your mic at any time and ask away. We'll get them, get those questions answered. So moving on, I like to start at the top here and run down the list. So preferences. These are your teacher preferences. This is what you as a teacher feel is appropriate for your classroom, and these can be changed throughout the school year. There isn't anything mandated here that's required. These are, again, preferences, what you'd like to be set. So calculating grades using tasks due on or before current date. This option is for the teachers that like to plan ahead and enter their assignments in for the entire quarter, semester, trimester. It's only going to calculate grades up to the current date. So anything that you've entered that would be turned in, next week or the following month is not going to count negatively against the student grades. So you want to make sure that this is checked for that to be in place. Okay, underneath that, display point totals with calculated grades. This is going to give point totals as well as grades. This is popular in secondary. In elementary, because we are standards-based grading, the students are receiving marks 1 through 4. This is something that's going to be deselected because we don't want the students to get a false sense of grades because they're looking at points and they're looking at grades. So we want this to be removed, okay? Moving down here, display only currently active students in the roster. That means students that are currently enrolled showing up to school every day. If you have students that have switched or moved or left school for whatever reason, this is going to make it so that you don't see those students on your roster, only the current active students. If you are checking on grades, I'll show you how to do that in a minute for a student that leaves, but this is the most popular. Underneath this, if you're an Elementary teacher, doesn't matter if you check it or not. Unfortunately, you don't have a TA. But if you have a TA, do you want them on your roster, your grade roster? That option is available if you're a secondary teacher and you have TAs. If you don't have TAs, it doesn't matter if it's checked or not. Underneath that, editing assignment scores on the spreadsheet tab. This is going to make it so that on the spreadsheet, which we'll look at in just a moment, you have the ability to update student scores looking at the spreadsheet. And this is popular for elementary as well as secondary teachers. So I encourage you to have this checked, and we'll see what that looks like in just a little while. Underneath that, default assignment comments to shared. This is under student profile and parent connect. This is so if the teacher adds a comment for a particular assignment, it's shared so the parents and students can see what that comment is. So maybe the students needed extra support, or they worked on it with a partner. Whatever type of note you would want to put in for that particular student and assignment, it's visible when the student and parent logs in to Parent Connect or Student Connect. Underneath this, to sort assignments descending by due date, that means the newest is going to be on top. I like to have this checked because I want to see the newest on top. And the comments here, I also like to have showing as well. Underneath this here, recalculate standard marks when you enter or change points for an assignment. This is only applicable to elementary teachers. So if you're secondary, if you check it or not, it doesn't matter. Elementary teachers, this you want to have marked. What this is saying, and it'll be a little bit more understandable when we look at an assignment, but you enter grades by standard. So if you made a mistake and let's say you gave a student a 2 and they really earned a 3, when you go back to update that 3, it's not going to fill for each of the standards attached. And we'll look at this in more detail in a few minutes. So elementary, I highly encourage you to have this checked. Secondary, doesn't matter, it's not applicable to you. Moving down here, when launching Gradebook, we typically want it to go to the current term. I guess there are rare occasions when people would want it to default to trimester 1, semester 1, and you can change that here. And then the same when you launch Gradebook, what is it that you want to see first? Roster is the most popular in secondary. In elementary, the spreadsheet is popular as well, but this is personal preference. And once we take a look, you'll have a better idea of what each of these are, and you can go in and change it. But by default, it's selected to roster. And then tabs you want to hide. These are tabs that'll be hidden, and I'll show you where these are in just a little while. But if you are a secondary teacher, these bottom 2 here are only applicable to elementary, so you probably want to hide the last 2 options. Elementary teachers, these are all applicable, so I would not hide any of them. So one more time, secondary teachers, these 2 you want checked. Elementary, you want them all viewable. Okay. Once you're done here, you're going to click Submit. And this is going to apply these options to all of the classes that you are teaching. Okay. And